Welcome, I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, tragedy in Madagali, Adamawa State, as two suicide bombing attacks leaves over 40 people dead. President Muhammadu Buhari issues a stern warning to political parties on peaceful rerun elections in River State. Channels Television and Voice of America sign a historic MOU to expand partnership on co-production. And Ghana's president vows to respect the outcome of Wednesday's tightly contested election. And on business news tonight, federal government says it's not seeking loan from the International Monetary Fund.
On sports news tonight, more reassurances for the agreed Super Falcons as they hope for their allowances to be paid.
Hello, I'm Ibrahim Adra, and from Abuja, it's a big relief for the governor of Cross River State as Supreme Court upholds his victory at the last governorship election.
We begin tonight in Madagali town, Adamawa State, where at least 47 people have been killed after two suicide bombers detonated their explosive devices. The first explosive went off at a grain market, while the other occurred at a second-hand clothing market. According to the Adamawa State Emergency Management Agency and the National Emergency Management Agency, 4 of those killed died on the way to hospital, while 67 persons sustained injuries. 7 others are in critical condition. Security operatives have been deployed to the affected areas as efforts are being made to ascertain the masterminds. No group has claimed responsibility for this attack. In the meantime, the Commission for Information in Adamawa State, Mr. Ahmed Sajo, told Channels Television that efforts are being made to restore order.
We got very sad news that sometimes just around noon today, that twin bomb blast occurred at a market in Madagali. I think one occurred, according to reports, on the spot report, one occurred at the grains market and the other at the second-hand cloth market. And that bomb blast twin bomb blast had really resulted in a number of casualties, although death at incident site is still being compiled, it's not ascertained. But we've been told that 67 people were injured, made up of 47 male and 20 female. They were all taken to Michika General Hospital, but on their way to Michika General Hospital, it's been confirmed that about 4 of them lost their lives.
In the meantime, the president has condemned the recent attack on Madagali. President Muhammadu Buhari also condoled with the government and people of the state, assuring them that they are not alone as the rest of the nation mourns this loss with them. President Buhari said, quote, "Putting an end to this senseless loss of innocent lives remains a top priority of this administration." Over the past few weeks, the Nigerian military have made significant advancements in an offensive aimed at slamming the final nail in the coffin of Boko Haram, end of quote. According to him, this attack is obviously an act of desperation, but the Nigerian military will not relent in its offensive on terrorists' hideouts. The president called on all Nigerians to be more vigilant and report any suspicious activity to the nearest security and law enforcement agencies. Now, Nigeria's fight against Boko Haram appears set to receive a major boost from the United States as the U.S. House has passed a bill stipulating a 5-year strategy to help in the war. A report by the BBC states that the bill would require the U.S. Departments of State and Defense to work with Nigeria's military in the battle and in countering radical ideology. The bill is set to propose a more deliberate and structured U.S. effort in mobilizing military and humanitarian support aimed at helping Nigeria and its neighbors in the Lake Chad Basin to achieve better results. However, the bill makes provision for the investigation and prosecution of human rights abuses by the security forces. Before now, the U.S. has at different times cited poor human rights records by Nigeria as a reason for withholding support on the terror fight. Let's take a look at some politics now. The President has called for peaceful and orderly conduct of the federal and state legislative rerun elections in Rivers State tomorrow. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a statement, asked all political parties, their candidates and the people of the state to ensure that the polls are not only credible but also devoid of violence and intimidation of opponents and electoral officials. The President warns, quote, "The rerun election should not be seen as a do-or-die affair to the extent that people will be killed, maimed and property destroyed in a mindless display of crude, primitive instincts. Innocent blood should never be sacrificed on the altar of political contest for temporary power," end of quote. While calling on security and law enforcement agencies not to let their guard down, President Buhari directed them to deal with those bent on violating the sanctity of the electoral process. And any police officer found to align himself with any politician during the legislative rerun elections in Rivers State will be severely dealt with. And that's according to the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, during a meeting with police officers and other security agencies at the Civic Centre in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. The IGP asked the officers to take their jobs seriously and act responsibly in the discharge of their duties.
Officers and men of the police and other security agencies getting set to be deployed to various stations for the legislative rerun elections in Rivers State. An exercise that has been going on for the past 3 days. And to put finishing touches on the security arrangements, the Inspector General of Police is here to give instructions to the officers.
At each level of the elections, we expect that we have enough security to cover those elections. The response units are not going to be deployed to the polling unit, but you are going to be deployed to areas where you can sight and see. And if there's any problem, you can respond quickly to the polling unit. The response units are going to be manned by armed policemen.
The people you want to assist to have a peaceful election.
Elsewhere, the governor expresses confidence that the police can achieve their security objectives.
If Nigerian police wants free and fair election, Nigerian police will have free and fair election. What causes violence in an election? What causes violence? Violence is when a party is given an advantage as against the other parties. The other party will want to resist that. I have written to you about activities of some of your senior police officers. As a governor of a state, I didn't say I'm entitled to bring somebody to my state, but it is my duty to call the attention of the Inspector Police. Mr. Z, Mr. Y, I know them. I work with them. These people will cause crisis in my state. Therefore, it will not be good for them to be in my state. Send any other person. I don't think that is too much for Chief Security Officer to ask.
According to the police, 28,000 officers have been deployed for the task. In addition, all departments, including marine and air control outfits, have been deployed to also provide security for the polls. Emmanuel Ire, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, representatives of the British, U.S. and French governments, as well as the head of the European Union here in Nigeria, have asked the leadership of all political parties and their supporters in Rivers State to allow the elections go ahead peacefully. In a joint statement released today, the diplomats said they are concerned about the rising tension ahead of the election. They also advised INEC and security agencies to perform their duties responsibly and impartially. The statement also urged all parties to respect the electoral process and channel their grievances through designated authorities. Now, we're monitoring developments in this election very closely. Our political correspondent Sheung Okimbaloye is in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, and he joins us live now. Sheung?
Thank you, Ijama, and welcome to Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State. I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by INEC National Commissioner in charge of South region, Mr. Mustafa Lekki. Many thanks for coming on the news at 10.
Thank you, Sheil.
It's just a few hours before this very crucial election. Is INEC really ready?
INEC is ready in terms of logistics, in terms of materials, in terms of human resources. We are ready. We have had a stakeholder meeting and materials have been received. They have been distributed. The usual practice is to receive material from the CBN, which happened yesterday, and as of today, the materials will move from the state headquarters here in Port Harcourt and then to local governments, and then they move from local governments today, Friday, to the rack. How the racks activated. The racks are more like the wards, and then the racks are activated. Tomorrow morning, materials and personnel will move to the polling units. So we're ready, and we've gone around this evening with some of your crew members to see the readiness against tomorrow. So I believe we are ready.
There were issues with the card readers in some parts of Ondo State in the last election INEC conducted there. In terms of the usage of the card readers, are you having any problem?
Well, I don't know what issues happened in Ondo State beyond
the failure of the card readers. There were a lot of stories about it and complaints from voters in Ondo State.
I think we need the assistance of the press to really articulate this issue, what people mean by the failure of the card reader. The card reader doesn't really fail. The card reader does principally two things. One is to ascertain that your PVC is a PVC that has been issued by INEC. If it's a clone PVC, fake PVC, it will not be issued. It's not issued by INEC. It will not be identified by the card reader, and has never failed 100%. As far as being able to identify that this PVC is issued by INEC, because you carry your picture, it will show your biometrics, show your data, and all that stuff. When the PVC is read by this card reader, so the smart card reader has always read without fail a PVC that is issued by INEC. The other issue is authentication. To again authenticate that you are truly who you say you are, even though we have the picture in the smart card reader show that the PVC is from INEC and it may belongs to you. Then we do the biometric. We've had problem with biometric because some fingers are not properly taken, captured, so they don't read very well. That's why we have a problem. And when that happens, it doesn't disenfranchise the voter. You give an incident form to fill, and then the person issues the ballot paper and he goes ahead to vote.
Tell us why INEC will go ahead to conduct elections in Thai local government area despite the court judgment that you have.
Well, I don't know what you know about the court judgment. There is the court judgment which was issued by Justice M. Liman here in Port Harcourt did not say that INEC cannot conduct election anywhere in the state. Anywhere in the state. So INEC is going ahead to proceed to conduct this election on the 10th, which is tomorrow. Everywhere in the state in which elections have been regularly scheduled. We're still studying the enrollment order was given by the judge, but it didn't say that we cannot conduct election anywhere in the state. We're not restrained. So please go and look at it very well and see where does it say that INEC cannot conduct election anywhere in the state. It didn't say so. So we're going ahead to conduct the election. So we are advising our political parties and candidates and stakeholders that they should proceed accordingly. There will be election everywhere as planned, originally planned to happen in the state tomorrow.
Dr. Mustafa Lekki, National Commissioner in charge of South with INEC, many thanks for coming on the news at 10.
Thank you very much, Sheil.
And that's it from here, Ijama. It's back to you now in Lagos.
All right, thanks a lot, Sheil. Live there in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. And in part two, after the break, Channels Television and the Broadcasting Board of Governors of the United States of America sign a historic MOU to expand partnership and co-production. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.